Good morning, good morning, good morning. How was everybody this morning? Sorry, I'm just a hair late. I was getting our YouTube stream up and running now that that's a thing. This window out of my way. Let me pull up this economic calendar. That. What's up, Navy Plum? How are you, my friend? Let's see who else we got here. New Trader, what's up? Stock Playa, Strife, always good to see you. D11 Hernandez? Is that like a Dungeons and Dragons reference? Like a dice roll? Rolling the D20 for an 11. All right, so let me get my screen sharing started. That would be good. YouTube can see it, but you guys probably want to see it too, don't you? Oh gosh, I hope that's the right one. Apparently, I have two screens with the ES up. Yep, that's the right one. All right, cool. So, we're going to talk about sort of where things are sitting at with the market currently. Hopefully, maybe 007 will be joining us here this morning. I know he's been pretty tied up in the mornings the past couple of weeks, so it's always a possible, hopeful. We'll keep our fingers crossed. Maybe he'll hop on. Maybe Chris will unmute his mic and we'll hear him get yelled at again. What's up, Chris? Good morning, buddy. All right, so also want to take a look at where the trade plans we did on Tuesday. Tesla. Yep, okay. And what was PayPal? I think we also did. Yep. Saw that. Just get these queued up so I don't forget to circle back to them. Start talking about where the market's at, what the data says here this morning as far as jobless claims go. Interesting. Sorry, I was just looking at those numbers from this morning's data. PayPal, okay. And did we do any other ones on? I know we talked about NVIDIA recently, but I think PayPal and Tesla were the ones we did. I think we also did Apple last week. That's one that has played out very nicely. Arc, I was just looking at this yesterday. AI was pretty interesting yesterday as far as it was holding up pretty well. Kind of had this nice rounded double bottom versus how the market was moving. And I was looking to maybe play it, but then I realized they had earnings coming up, and I'm glad I didn't touch it. So AI, though, might be one that we could think about trade planning next Tuesday. So if you guys have any interest in it, remind me. We'll circle back to it. Save that. And that's yesterday's SPY plan. All right. So let's see here. As far as ES goes, kind of tracking sort of I would call it an iffy trend line. I'll take a look at this actually on the hourly chart. That's kind of how I like to sort of plan trendy type plays and sort of see where things are sitting on ES. But we're kind of carving through this demand zone. We bounced out of it yesterday a little bit, created a new supply zone here overhead. Also added some confluence there with that 4470 level. I think Alexander and I were both talking about both these levels yesterday, 4458, 75. I think he had something fairly close to that, and 4470. But yeah, now the kind of key level to watch, I think, in my opinion, if this market's going to try to bounce, probably down here around 4438, and a potential test of this back test of the breakout of this trend line. And again, this trend line, let me have my indicators for a second just so we can see the touches and how it's played out. Or it's iffy. I'm kind of calling this a touch because it was pretty close, and I think it just caught this daily resistance level first as it was getting close to the trend line. So you had a little bit of a confluence right there. I think those were within close enough proximity of each other to coffee sips. Yeah, I'll get you some ASMR. It's just too hot right now. I'm very, I'm a wuss when it comes to like scorching my palate. I make such good food, I think. Because I haven't killed my tongue yet. But yeah, as soon as it cools down a little bit, I've got this like ember mug, and so the indicator light on it. This is not a pitch for ember, but it should be because their mugs are awesome. So ember send me my money if anybody buys one. um, anyway, it's got this little indicator light on the front that'll tell me when it's like the coffee's reached my desired temperature, and then at that point just kind of keeps it, keeps it warm. Yeah, PFE, we'll take a look at that. I'm still holding leaps on it. I've thought about closing out a couple times when it was up about 20% or so on the contracts. I've got 3750 calls for June of next year. But yeah, we can take a look at PFE. I kind of probably need to take a look at it myself because it's been down a little bit more than I expected it to go. I think a lot of people were anticipating it to hold, closer to 35. And honestly, I kind of expected those 3750s to be in the money by now, but they're leaps, so I haven't been babysitting them too much. So anyway, talking about the market, and then let's get some trade plans. We can definitely take a look at PFE. Also, if you guys have any other tickers you want me to take a look at, we'll do those trade plans as well. We'll also recap the trade plans that I have kind of queued up that we already have in place. Most of them have played out very well so far, especially Apple just totally knifing through supports and gapping down day after day after breaking below our put entry level, the key support that it needed to hold before it got even more bearish. So I know a lot of people are going to try to time the bottom on this one, but I would be waiting for some kind of clear confirmation. So anyway, talking about ES here, again, we're sort of just stacking up these supply zones, most of them fairly small, and really cutting into this demand zone here this morning. So we'd really like to see 44, 38, 50 hold. If we lose that, then I think it opens up more room to the downside. And honestly, I wouldn't bet the farm on a back test of this trend line holding either if that winds up being the case. So, just play the charts. Don't get too stuck on any particular bias. Don't try to time the top or time the bottoms. Just let the charts tell you what to do, wait for confirmation, and then execute. Be methodical, be almost robotic. So, all right, let's take a look at, sorry, I was just reading the chats there. Yeah, definitely Brando, Chris is the guy to help you out. He is fantastic as far as making sure people have a great, sort of getting up to speed experience here at Xtrades. So can't thank Chris enough for what he does. Apple trade plan, we did this one, I think last Thursday. Yeah, we did the trade plan for this. Again, it kind of topped out a little early. We did have this resistance up here at 189.75. Again, probably maybe was a little aggressive with my first price target. I think we even went back and looked at this on Tuesday, and I was still a little surprised that it didn't kind of get more into, there's a little bit of a fair value gap to the upside that I think doesn't really close until you get up to this 190.72 level. So that's why I had that as PT1, and it hit this resistance. We had it on the chart. I just didn't use it as a price target, and maybe I should have. So apologies for that if you kind of didn't say JTW's being a little crazy. I see he's got 189.75 on the chart. I'm going to use that as my target. Screw what he says. Then good for you. Again, I may sometimes, fly a little close to the sun or whatever. But sorry, just trying to focus in here a little bit on this. Did catch, that 189.75 levels come back down. We did have a nice opportunity though, and I think talk about this maybe on Tuesday's podcast as well, catching that average down entry opportunity and using that to kind of course correct from there. At least I hope I talked about that on Tuesday. But anyway, since then, as of yesterday, it just sliced through all of the supports, especially this key one here at 185.02. Again, we had that as our planned put entry level from last Thursday. Looks like we now have a pivot confluence around that level as well here going into today, and pivots are probably going to be pretty wide today for those of you who are looking at or using pivots. Is this coffee ready? Yes. All right. Here you go, Chris. So good. All right. So, obviously, clearly through all three of our price targets, tried to catch a bounce here right near our second price target. But again, overall, mega bearish trend. I'm not interested in calls in this anytime soon. Although, as I'm saying that, it is testing the weekly level here. If I was ever going to try to catch a falling knife, I'd be using some of these stronger, higher time frame support resistance levels, such as a weekly support, but it's already diving a little bit below that. Confluence here around 175.47 could potentially see a bounce there, but as far as our trade plan goes, you know, clearly all targets hit and then some. So if you lock some profits and held some runners overnight, congratulations, because you absolutely are just going to be killing it this morning on that one. All right, let's see. We did Tesla Tuesday pre-market. This was one that broke out and started smashing our price targets pretty much right out of the gate. So this would have been a tough one to catch, but if you caught it, congratulations. I personally don't trade Tesla options. I sell Tesla options. I do all kinds of things around Tesla and related to Tesla, but personally being a buyer of Tesla options, it's just something that I had a very bad experience with a long time ago, and it got on my blacklist, and I've decided to stick to that rule, even though my trade plans typically are fire on Tesla for some reason. So anyway, we're looking for this breakout over 248.25. Smashed through that and was up to PT1 there early on into the trading day. When this kind of stuff happens, one thing that I always encourage people to do is wait for us to kind of back test either, you know, one of the levels from the plan as a support. We did have a really good opportunity for that. Again, if you were watching carefully and closely, what am I trying to do here? I'm trying to turn off my indicators for a second just so we can see the candles. So here we see, you know, we start to fight around this PT1. It's not rejecting cleanly. In fact, we did get up to this other level. So again, maybe I learned from my Apple plan and then got too conservative on that price target, but 253.01 seemed to be the key resistance on that initial push. We did have that on our chart, just wasn't part of our plan. However, this is the back test that I was getting ready to mention and was talking about. So, you know, we had this massive move up. You know, be very careful about chasing this stuff, because then you could get shook out in that kind of move. So sort of wait for things to, if you're going to chase, and I just did a post about this in the trade education channel, as far as like one way to chase or follow the momentum without, and do it strategically without like just blindly chasing, would be to use the 16 WMA. Hooked a bunch of people up for with my ultimate moving averages indicator, which is a small part of the Neptune trading indicator that I built. But it's, you know, if you're a paying Xtrades member, feel free to shoot me a DM. I'll set you up for free. It's a very powerful moving average indicator. In fact, I'll show it to you guys just really quick. It's right there. So just hide all this other stuff for a second. Again, this is nothing crazy fancy or anything like that, but I think it's pretty powerful. So you have, you know, one indicator slot for those of you who are using, like free versions of TradingView and all that stuff. You're limited to the number of indicator slots you can have, so you can't have like use one indicator slot for every moving average. There's plenty of moving average indicators out there that will let you run multiples on your chart. But one of the things that I did with this ultimate MAs, and I've seen a couple do this, but at the same time, like when their WMA was calculated, like, I don't know, it just didn't look right to me. So I, again, kind of took what I'd already put into another indicator and pulled it out as kind of a standalone thing. And I'm offering it for free to any paying Xtrades members. So if you've signed up for a membership, please feel free to shoot me a DM. Let me know your TradingView user ID and I'll set you up with this. But yeah, you can pick any kind of moving average you want. Obviously, you can pick any kind of calculation that you want to pick the data point from each candle. But the other thing that it has, which I think is pretty nice, is like built-in alert system. So like if we went here, change this to ultimate moving averages, we can hit any of these particular. So, you know, MA price crossing over the first moving average, crossing under moving average 1, crossing over moving average 2, so on and so forth. You know, you can set any of these. These are pre-configured alerts. You just have to select the inputs for what moving averages you want to get alerts for. And then you can also use this any alert, which will fire all of these by just setting up one alert. So anyway, let's talk about this. Ultimate point there was to talk about the 16 WMA. If you guys need access to that, you are a paying Xtrades member, just let me know and I'll hook you up for free. So yeah, anyway, Tesla, back test right there with PT1, pushed higher off of that. Never quite made it to PT3, but again, we were setting that at the top of the supply zone. Supply kind of took over before we got there, and now, as of yesterday, rejected pretty cleanly. that supply zone in pre-market, dropped hard down to really our stop loss average down level on the call side if I stretch this over. And actually, kind of, you could have recycled this trade plan, to tell you the truth. You could have played that support. That would have been very brave. But as we broke back over the call entry level after getting a confirmed bounce, you could have played it for more upside and at least gotten to PT1. But again, lots of things gapping down this morning, market pushing down. Tesla is back sort of in our neutral zone, so keep an eye on it. This is a trade plan that could definitely be recycled, and the downside has yet to play out. So 240.202 is the key level that we have on watch. Saw a clean bounce of it here last Friday. So keep that one on watch with our downside targets here at 239.67, 237.11, and 235.38. And this is probably already in this live stream chat somewhere, so just go back in time a little bit, or it's in the watch list, one of those two in the options watch list. Let's see, PayPal was the other one we took a look at on Tuesday. Let's see how this played out. So let's pick this up. I mean, that's a pretty decent confirmation. I would have definitely, had I had an alert set. I've just had a busy week with it being a short week, so I've kind of just focused more on SPY this week, for the most part. It's a pretty good confirmed break, to tell you the truth. I probably would have been jumping in on that had I been watching PayPal. It has now since gotten back below our stop loss average down levels, so if you caught that and got stopped out, my apologies. Maybe, I mean, I could see there being a potential if you caught the average down here. I mean, you would have had to time it very well. That's not, I don't want my trade plans to require absolute perfect timing. I think that's a little bit unrealistic. So yeah, this is probably one that was a little bit of a miss as far as the upside is concerned. To the downside, we were breaking below that here pre-market, and testing our first price target as support. Also, interesting little confluence with this pivot and 62.19 level, both very close to each other. So I'd be waiting for some kind of a back test to 62.48 as resistance to try to get in, or wait for PT1 to break 61.97 and look for a back test of it, or a back test is 62.19. I mean, you've got a pivot confluence there at S4 today, so that could also be used. All right, so that's a quick recap of the trade plans that we've done so far. We've got a little bit of time left so far. Still only have PFE as my only ticker requested, so if you guys have some tickers you want me to take a look at, you better let me know. All right, so let's see here. Yeah, I don't know if I have a lot of levels down here. Yeah, most of them are kind of more concentrated up in this area. There still is this gap to fill. That's part of why I have those 37.50 calls. We do have another weekly support down here at 32.97, but I will not swear on the Bible that I have thoroughly charted PFE down in this range. So let's take a quick look. Already liking this 34.65 stupid thing. Let's get this back down to where I wanted it to be. There we go. 34, yeah, what, 34.58, 34.65, somewhere in this neighborhood. Oh, nope, that's the wrong candle. That's why. Yeah, that looks better. That's another interesting kind of two weekly levels stacked up here, very close to each other, so that's interesting to me. Let's see. Yeah, there's something right around this level for sure. Hopefully we won't need that, because that would not be good for my leap calls. Yeah, there's something sitting right around here too. All right, I think that's probably pretty good on those weekly levels. This is kind of a wide range in here, though. Let me just check this real quick. There's definitely support and resistances in here. I just have not drilled into them. Maybe not on the weekly. Sure, Dr. NG. We'll take a look at Apple. I mean, we just covered the existing trade plan on it that we did last week. That downside is absolutely crushed. Yeah, there's our level. That's not the one I was looking for, actually. You better keep your mic off, Chris. That's all I'm going to say. We're going to wind up with another show. Roku might be an interesting one, Turbo, too. That had a total retracement of that big move it got on that. I guess it was based on some cost cutting measures they put in place, or cut a bunch of staff. So, good for the shareholders, bad for your average Joe. There's something right around here that we're going to watch. Sorry, getting a little focused for a second here. Yeah, I think this level's right here. Perfectly honest. Definitely have something sitting here too. All right, let's move back to current, see what that's showing us. I don't know. I'm not level yet, actually. All right, let's take a look at this 4-hour chart, see what that looks like. It's one of my favorite time frames for charting. I can use my words correctly. Something there. Why is that on one pixel line? That's why it looks weird. And this level might be just a little tiny bit lower. Looking at a smaller time frame here. Right there. Question is, what's going on, or what do we use as targets down in this range? Because this is where my existing levels are a little wanting. Not quite as well developed, or I haven't just spent the time to do them. Down in this neck of the woods. Yeah, got something here. Check this real quick. Yeah, okay, all right. Pretty good. What's going on down here? There's something right, yeah, right here too. That's interesting to me. And definitely something right here as well. Okay, I think that's probably all the bigger picture levels we're going to need to get some good price targets on deck here. Now, as I say that, this is an interesting prior support that is now going to probably act. It's pretty nasty resistance, to tell you the truth. Let's see. I just want to check this real quick. Oh yeah, for sure. Okay. Yeah, I think we got something. Yeah, right there too. Just rejected that, actually. That I don't need to go back. That's good to go. And that is also going to be a level we're going to watch. Okay. So let's take a look at our indicators. Let's drill in a little bit. show the moving averages thing. Got them hit. There we go. All right. So let's see. PFE. All right, so I think how I'd want to play this, because there's a lot of selling pressure here overhead. And I think we'll get a little bit better confirmation. It's still going to be a little bit risky, but I kind of like it back over 35. We've all talked about that level. I think I'd want to focus on that being my entry level. I think, and again, the one thing I'm concerned about is, highest selling pressure on Neptune is right around this weekly level currently here on the hourly chart. Smaller time frames, it's going to be shifted a little bit lower, and this could ultimately get bumped down a little bit over time, depending on what PFE does here, price action wise. So, but I think, again, I've tried to swear off setting too lofty goals, but I think 35.52 is a good price target. One. And I certainly, if I'm playing calls over 35, would not want to be back below this weekly level again after that at 34.68. So that's definitely going to be our stop loss average down level. Over 35.52, let's hide these real quick. Yeah, I think we got a shot at 36.05. You know what? I take that back. No, I don't take that back. We're going to leave that where it is. Just feels like a very tight PT2 and PT3 to me. But this 36.32 level could be pretty tricky. Weekly level clearly rejected that here recently, that has sent us down below several supports. So I would, you'd have to have a lot of confidence or a lot of time, which I currently do on your contracts, to want to hold for a break over that level. That's what I'd say. 34.26 though, holding nicely here as of yesterday's close. So let's see, am I missing? Is there really a big move down below 34.26? I gotta believe there's some kind of price targets that I just keep missing down here in this range between 33.74 and 34.6. How far back in time do I have to go? There it is. Right in there, actually. Last time we moved, or made a move below 34.6, or at least as we moved back up above it, it was actually a fairly methodical move. So I think we really get the opportunity for a bigger move down, potentially. Again, we're kind of taking a risky shot that this weekly level is not going to hold, but it may come down here and touch here and ultimately close back above that, and a weekly candle might hold it as support at 33.74. But I think what I'm looking at here is a break below 34.02 to play it down to 33.37. And then the question becomes, do we have better stop loss? That's going to be too tight at there at 34.26, even though I do kind of like that as a stop loss on this trade plan. It's just, it doesn't, gotta have some room to breathe. I think we've got a 4-hour level right around here. It's probably a little bit right there. I see good potential for a average down opportunity in this, off this level. Over it could be problematic for holding puts. So Now below 33.37, that's the other thing I should have figured out while we were back here. Sorry, I know that's fun watching you just scroll a chart like that. Gosh, let's see. It's interesting that some of these key bounces are coming a little higher than where I got this weekly level, but we're zoomed out on the weekly, so I might need to tighten. Oops. I think this weekly level just needs a little bit of a, just a little bit of a nudge there. Catching that wick there that I couldn't see a second ago. So 33.37, 33.03. Below that, there's a pretty decent fair value gap there. Big imbalance created off of this 31.59. I wouldn't be crazy greedy with this third price target though. But I think 32.16 is a real possibility. It's another weekly level there. So I'd keep that on watch as a good price target. All right, so this is what the trade plans look like for Pfizer. And COVID is becoming a frequently discussed topic again, so that may bode well for Pfizer stock for what it's worth. You know, and I'll throw out a potential fourth price target on the subside. I mean, if you get the chance to establish a free runner, I mean, I've really debated kind of setting one up there with 36.92. You know, if you've got a free runner, you want to hold one, you've already gotten all your money back plus some profit. By the time we hit 36.32, if you still have a contract left at that point, give it a shot. See if it gets 36.92. All right, so this is your PFE trade plan. And so what we're looking for here on Pfizer is a break above 35 to play targets at 35.52, 36.05, and 36.32 with the stop loss average down at 34.68. To the downside, we'd be looking for a break below 34.02. That would give us targets at 33.37, 33.03, and then a bigger move down, I believe, to 32.16. If we want to be conservative, use that 32.52 level as an opportunity to take profits a little bit early. Stop loss average down for the downside trade plan 34.54. All right, so we had PFE, and then Dr. NG asked about Apple. Let's see. Real quick. There's clearly a support here that, though, say clearly, looks like it is on the 15-minute. That doesn't mean a whole lot. That drop is. Yeah, there is a level there though. Let's see what time frame it sticks out on. Yeah, 4-hour level there. So, question is, yeah, I mean, certainly below this 175.87 level could open up some room to the downside. Actually, you know what? Wait for a little bit more confirmation. Take that back. I play it below this level. There's also levels sitting here I don't have yet. At least on the hourly chart there is. It's probably right. Yeah, that's a bit. Oh, sorry, winding up in a debate with myself I didn't intend to get into. Yeah, it's probably sit right there. So that's what I'm looking at as far as a stop loss level goes. I think I'd set a first price target. A couple of, no, they're hard to see. There's a couple of levels down here. I think I'm looking really at this one as far as being like a smart PT1. Below that, this level looks interesting. Yeah, right around there. PT2. And I think that's a good third price target. If Apple gets down to 170, 80, I'd buy leaps for what it's worth. We're settled on that level. Okay, so that's a downside trade plan. Upside going to be very interesting. Let's see. Let's see what this looks like there. Oh, yeah, we have a confluence breaking below that 175.87 level. At least on the 15-minute chart we do. Yeah, and I was kind of actually looking at this, interestingly enough, to get back over to play the call side. So, works out that there's also a confluence there. The level I was already looking at. All right. So, yeah, it's definitely first price target. Then big fair value gap here. But I do actually, I say reverse engineer these existing price targets. Bing, bang, boom. So it's going to look like this. Actually, I'm going to leave those indicators off just so it's easier to see the trade plans and the levels. Yeah, this is a ugly chart for Apple right now. So what we're looking for here on yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, let's just follow the SPY plan, brother. I cannot give anybody any better guidance than that. I have no comment. We'll be looking for a break over 177.41 to play the upside here on Apple with targets at 178.66, 180.38, and 181.37. Oh, wait, no, sorry. Did I screw this up? I did. That looks better. And 181.37 playing to the upside with a stop loss average down there at 176.43. To the downside, I'd be looking for a break below 175.87 with targets at 174.35, 173.31, and 172.25. We're going to share a stop loss average down with the upside trade plan there at 176.43. So that is your Apple trade plan. 20 minutes left till the trading day starts. And I'm going to need time to do the aforementioned SPY plan for the day. What was our other request, though, from... Turbo to Roku. Let's see, I was looking at this yesterday. It was kind of an interesting one, and I know I've got some levels on it. It was intriguing. We essentially sort of totally reversed that whole pre-market move and then caught that, pretty much same kind of key level and bounced off of it. So that was interesting to me, but small gap down and finding some resistance on what looks like was a trade plan level at some point. I don't know how long ago. Oh, let's see. We did a trade plan on this back February of this year. So we've got these levels from that trade plan, and it seems to be testing what was a third price target, it looks like, as resistance here. So let's see, can we come up with a quick plan is my question to myself. Let's see if the indicators help all that much. I know I have some levels to probably put on this chart that aren't here. Oh boy. Let's see. I definitely like it. There's good confluence here with my 82, 87 level. I've seen some big rejections below that. Would also put us below the 333 SMA more than likely. So I could see that being a good put entry level. First, I like this previous trade plan level here at 80.20 as a first price target, to be perfectly honest. And I kind of like this 78.08 level. Second price target. You could wind up in some chop below 178.08. But yeah, 75.03, I think ultimately is where it could touch below that. So then the last question to finalize a downside trade plan is, what's a smart stop loss average down level? And to me, let's see, let me take a look at this chart. Yeah, to me, I wouldn't want to be back over 84.23. I think it just opens more upside potentially. So yeah, and it's also, bigger picture. I mean, I know it's kind of flipped things really quick with this insane kind of move it made, but overall, if we're looking at these, slower, more lagging indicators, these moving averages, I mean, everything just flipped back to the bullish side and is trending up and finding some confluence here around that 84.23 level. So yeah, overall I'd be kind of leaning bullish on Roku, to tell you the truth, and I'm not a big fan of their products. I'm not a Roku fanboy by any stretch, but overall it looks like it's getting ahead of steam on it a little bit here. So I think over 85.81 could, and actually, do we have a little bit better? Yeah, I'm going to take that back. Sorry. Or I changed my mind. I lied. Just looking at this flip of support to resistance. It was very short, quick flip of support to resistance. This is not a major level, but I think it just gives us a little bit extra confluence that things are going to open up to the upside, or confirmation. The words all screwed up this morning. Now over that, we've got a pivot level here, but I'm not overly concerned about that with this kind of weird move that it made yesterday. It's probably going to throw how those pivots are calculated off some. I'm kind of looking at this as like a first price target. Check something. It's an interesting level to me, but I need to see more. Yeah. I mean, it could shoot as high as this 91.19 level, but again, I don't want to have too much hubris. I don't want to be overly aggressive in that first price target. Make sure we're locking profits early, but still have the right risk reward ratio on the trade. So, there's big fair value gap to fill there too, I'd say. Could potentially be a little bit lower, but I think that's kind of the more key level up there. So 90.19 PT1, PT2. That's another big question. Let's see. kind of candles do we have to work with in this neighborhood? See if this is close to the level I was looking at a second ago. It's pretty close. This may not be the cleanest level I've ever drawn, so call that now. I think there's potential for resistance up here around this 92.86 level. Whenever that, even though we did shoot a little over it, this is a key area, or at least I thought it was at some point. That's why I have it kind of shaded like this, where things can really, it's almost like a steady area of supply and demand almost, or at least how I was probably looking at things at this point in time. Dang it, that's not what I wanted to do. I want to get rid of this though, because I think that's pretty close to there, because it's just distracting me a little bit. So I'd say shoot for that third price target. Again, make sure that you are taking profits along the way and that you're moving your stops up as the trade plays out. So here's the Roku trade plan, and then I've got to go do the SPY plan for the day. Oh, gosh. That. Let's fix that. There we go. That looks pretty good. Okay, so here is your Roku trade plan. So for Roku, we're looking for a break of 86.37 with targets at 90.19, 92.86, and 95.39. Stop loss average down at 84.23. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 82.87 with targets at 80.20, 78.08, and 75.03 with the stop loss average down at that same level, 84.23. And then strike random question: do you ever start looking at a chart, and as you look at the chart, find yourself thinking, we should be in this trade already? Yeah, of course. Yeah, I see that all the time. But at that point, you kind of have to, hit the pause button on your, on your FOMO, right? And say, all right, let me think about this. And if I am going to get into this trade, like, what are the criteria I want to be met, or where am I okay entering? Because typically, if I see something like that and say we should be in this trade already, it kind of feels like chasing, right? And so, if I'm going to follow the momentum and all that, I want to do it strategically and methodically. So I would set a trade plan and say, okay, I want to see a back test of this level, this confluence, whatever the case might be. One of the things I use commonly for that, especially if I'm looking for something kind of as just an intraday momentum trade, big fan of that 16 WMA. I mean, I use it alongside of all my other indicators, but it's one that everybody can easily get access to, whether that be reaching out to me or finding some moving average indicator that offers a WMA setting for free, right? So I kind of want to, I don't want to sit here and spend a bunch of time talking about, indicators that I've developed that are being sold, right? I want to, say, okay, here's a free approach to sort of how I would handle catching one of those momentum trades. So, I don't want to turn this into a sales seminar on my indicators. I try to avoid that at all costs. So anyway, with that, we are 10 minutes from market open. Unfortunately, 007 was not going to is not able to join us this morning. So since he is not here, we do have our wonderful soundboard.
Plan your trades and trade your plans.
That's right, folks. Make sure that you're planning your trades and trading your plans. If you're struggling with that, I'm here to offer you all the trade plans I can, so follow those and execute. Comment, but do you have your own ideas or estimates for what's going on with the market or where we're going to end up? That's a very large question that I unfortunately don't have time for right now, because I do have to get the intraday SPY plan put together. But I would say if you want to really kind of start to be able to gauge these things for yourself, learn support and resistance, learn supply and demand, focus on futures more so than you're looking at SPY or SPX, because futures trade 23 hours a day actively. So, you know, I would, that's kind of what I would say, and looks like we may be finding some support on this trend line back test here this morning. So, you know, like I said, that was an iffy possibility, but my concern is that we're closing things below this demand zone, this 44.3850 level, but really those don't confirm a break until this 4-hour candle closes, which is not for a little while. And we may be, you know, at least based on this 4-hour chart, how this line sort of matches up with things, might be cutting into it a little bit, but hourly looks like it's bouncing cleanly. So, you know, just keep an eye on that, and, you know, let the charts tell you what to do. I'm not here. I'm not Dionne Warwick. You know, I don't want to try to predict the future. I mean, the best thing I can do is give you charts and tell you zones to watch. The closest thing, then I'll share this, and then I've really got to get to the SPY plane because I'm down to 8 minutes, but I do it so often I could probably do it. It's closed. So probably the closest thing I've done to doing any kind of predicting like that would be, let's see, when I offered this up to the group, oh gosh, back, when was this? January of 2022. So when we first kind of started selling off, when we broke the overall bullish weekly trend, you know, somewhere around mid-January 2022, I said, okay, you know, here are sort of my zones, right? I'm going all cash up at these levels, is my 401k, everything. I went all cash, and I kind of created some zones. I said, okay, you know, as far as looking at weekly levels, in fact, let's look at the weekly chart since that's what I'm ultimately talking about here. Whoops, I'm trying to do this as quickly as I can. But I will also say my zone caught the bottom, which is why I wanted to share this, just so I could show off that I can do this on a macro level as well. Some of these are old trend lines that don't really mean anything anymore. That green one is one that I'll always want to keep on here, though. But anyway, again, I kind of set this, okay, this could potentially be a bottom where we would turn up this red zone, but this is a high risk shifting back into stocks, in my personal opinion. This is sort of medium risk zone where we could potentially find some bounces again, hit the bottom of that zone. We tried to bounce. What happened? Hit the top of the red zone, rejected, put us down lower. Ultimately, this green zone was okay, the market might go lower, but I think this is great value to start buying back and shifting back out of cash into stocks. You know, anywhere in this green zone, what happened? We dipped a little bit into it, and we have since bounced and have tried to get back all the way to all-time highs. So unfortunately, I think I've got some old emails that I sent to friends with this that have time dates and stamps if you don't believe me, but I think the post that I had for this got wiped out when Xtrades got hacked like forever ago. So, you know, I don't really, this has been so choppy and such a weird move. You know, this market that we've been in, 0 DTE every day has changed things a lot. So, you know, I haven't really taken the time to look at a macro analysis because it's just, I think a lot of things need to sort of work themselves out. And so, you know, I'm just going to focus on short-term intraday trades and make my money that way. And really kind of my ultimate focus right now is still, you know, selling options, positioning my equity position smartly, and trading futures every once in a while. I'm trading options outside of SPY, and then, you know, SPY plan, executing that only when I really love the setup. So if I don't absolutely love it, there's plenty of days where the plan works out perfectly and I just don't touch it. So that's the best explanation I can give you. I've got to go get to today's plan. So with that, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Plan your trades, trade your plans. I will see you in the chat, and we'll be back next Tuesday and Thursday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Y'all have a great day. Take care. Thanks for joining me, of course. Sorry, I was in a rush.